What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who never knows best, and today's video is kind of going to be a bit more discussion, sort of. There's going to be gameplay and stuff, but just give me a second, right? So basically, over the last few days, I'm like so out of the loop and out of touch sometimes, it feels like, with Twitter, because like I'll be on it, but I still be missing stuff at the same time. I don't know, I've been focused on other things. My priorities have been in other places. That being said, there are some noteworthy things worth talking about and some tweets that I've seen going around that I feel like that are relevant. I want to talk about, and mostly to do with Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball games, so you should still be interested in. And throughout the course of this video, you might see some casual matches of me playing DBFZ on screen, whatever. But we got some other stuff I want to talk about. So basically, where do I start? I think it's worth mentioning and noting that Dragon Ball FighterZ and Xenoverse 2 have both officially surpassed 10 million sales. Now, hold on, let me go ahead and grab it real quick. Here we go. Let's swap on over here to my other monitor. You can see Dragon Ball FighterZ and Xenoverse have both exceeded 10 million copies in sales. And what are we getting for celebration? Well, FighterZ will make some of its DLC available for free for a limited time, which I believe, hold on, if you give me just a second, I think I have that tweet somewhere around here. Yeah, here we go. Let me just boom, and give me 1 second over here. Yeah, so Peep, join the celebration for our 10 million units sold in the free campaign with all the released DLC characters in the order for 1,000 hours. You'll also receive exclusive rewards based on how much times you play. Rank matches, get ready for the battle. You can see they have a schedule here where you're going to be able to play some of these characters for free: Bardock, Broly, and Master Vegeta. So basically, the order that the characters were released in is the order that you'll be able to play them in. And yeah, and that's cool, I guess. Although I'd be surprised, I guess, at the amount of people, if there are any who exist, that are still playing Dragon Ball FighterZ at this point that don't have all, if not most, of the DLC characters. And you know, maybe that's me looking at it from a skewed perspective, or like a place of privilege or something. I don't really know, right? Obviously, I'm somebody who's bought every single character as they come out. I've also been blessed with some stuff from Bandai Namco, but like I've paid out of my own pocket for like at least 3 or 4 copies of DBFZ. I have PS4, PS5, PC, Switch. I've given away copies, DLC codes, and all that stuff. Like I've paid more than my fair share of stuff with this game, but I've also gotten some free stuff from Bandai, full disclosure. But regardless, like the vast majority of people who play the game already have all the DLC characters. But I guess this is really cool because there has to be some people out there who don't, right? Obviously, not everybody has that money or that access or whatever. I get that, so it's whatever. And I was conflicted on like what I want, if I want to address this stuff at all, or what I wanted to talk about, because I didn't want to be like negative or like overly negative or like ungrateful or anything like that, or like super impatient. But y'all know what we really waiting on, bro. There's been all this hope and expectation and hype, and well, I can't really say there's much hype left at all at this point, but like rollback and the balance patch, and there's just been no mention, no talk of that. We still have no exact release date for rollback, or even the beta, let alone the actual patch. It was supposed to be coming sometime this spring, and you know, it's only May. Today is May 11th right now. If I tap my phone, yeah, it's May 11th right now, and spring doesn't technically end until like the end of June, so there's still like about a month and a half ish left of spring. So you know, I guess again, patience is a virtue. And then like there's just been no conversation at all, or discussion, or update in regards to a balance patch. And you know, they made it seem like they want the patch to come up before Evo, and Evo's not until August, so that's still a few months away as well. But it's just like, we talking about like trying to celebrate the game and the life that it's had in its 5 years and 10 million sales. This don't really do a whole lot for me, and I doubt that it does a whole lot for you guys either. And as ungrateful as that might sound, it just is what it is, and it's the reality of the situation. It is cool nonetheless that this is something that they're doing. I can't really say I've seen any other game do something like this, where they let you try out the DLC characters for free. Although honestly, in my opinion, I kind of feel like you should have some sort of like training mode access or trial access to DLC characters in fighting games, so you can know whether or not you want to actually use the character or buy the character. Then again, maybe not necessarily, because like you could fight other people who have the character, and you can see it's like, okay, this character is OD, or this character is really cool and I want to try them out, or I want to buy them. And then obviously, if you're more serious of a fighting game player, which there's something else we want to get to, I gotta go grab the tweet for that too. If you're that serious of a fighting game player, you're gonna buy them anyway, just so you can lab them, whether it's to play as them or play against them, right? So it just is what it is. Like this is I don't know. I think with it being over 10 million sales, Dragon Ball FighterZ has to be a top 10. I don't have the rankings off the top of my head. This is kind of like an off the cuff video. I have some stuff pulled up, some resources I don't have. I guess I could Google it real quick, but I'm pretty sure Dragon Ball FighterZ has to be in like the top 10 fighting games of all time now in terms of sales. I just Google best selling fighting games of all time. Let's just go to vgsales.fandom. Sure. So if we go over to like this little wiki page that I just found, this obviously I don't know exactly how reliable or trustworthy this is, but based on the data that they have, number one game of all time, Super Smash Bros. I'm not surprised at all by 30 million is a OD though. I'm not gonna hold you. Let me zoom in a little bit. But you can see we have Street Fighter 2, Smash Bros. So yeah, if we Tekken 7's at about 10 million right now. They actually have Xenoverse on here twice, which is a bit weird. But yeah, Xenoverse and DBFZ are both over 10 million now, which would leapfrog it over Street Fighter 4. Although Street Fighter 4 has gotten randomly a few 100,000 more sales because of Street Fighter 6 hype, which I would doubt. I would think those would go to Street Fighter 5 if anything. But yeah, like it would be, that would put it in the top 10. And as far as like games that are not part of an ongoing franchise or like the first installment or something, because there's obviously this Dragon Ball FighterZ is like this first standalone game. Like there's no prequel or sequel yet. Don't think there ever will be to FighterZ. And even Xenoverse 2 is obviously the second installment. It's like all these other games like Mortal Kombat 11, Super Smash Bros, which are, you know, multiple iterations of the original Super Smash Bros from all the way back on N64, Street Fighter 4, Tekken 7, you know what I'm saying, like Tekken 3, like every other game up here is a game that is part of a very long running franchise of like 10 plus years, 20 plus years, you know what I'm saying? DBFZ is the only game up here that where it's like, yeah, the first game. Street Fighter 2 is a little bit out. Even Street Fighter 2 is the sequel technically. Well, not even technically, it just is, right? But every other game up here, yeah, is like at least is a sequel to something. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty impressive. For all the good it's doing everybody, right? But that's enough time spent on that. There's other things I actually want to talk to you guys about. Yeah, so there's that. Another thing in regards to Xenoverse 2 is actually that comparatively DBFZ has kind of been left in the mud because DBFZ is Xenoverse was 2016, right? Let me just double check. Xenoverse 2 released, I want to say in 2016, if my Google Chrome would be a little bit more snappy. Yeah, October of 2016. DBFZ came out January 26, 2018. It's 2 years younger, has sold just as many copies, is just as popular and everything, and yet the treatment that they've gotten in terms of, support and content is vastly different. We can take a look over here. We can see that if we go back over here, we have some pretty sick stuff coming to Xenoverse 2, not gonna lie. I actually haven't checked out the trailer for this, but like Xenoverse 2 is still getting DLC content to this day. I understand that these games are made by 2 different developers despite being under the same publisher, and that is Bandai Namco. I believe Xenoverse 2 is Dimps, and obviously DBFZ is ArcSys. For those of you who don't know, I used to be a big Xenoverse guy. I haven't played the game in years at this point, but it's just, we ain't gonna get into it. Regardless, Beast Gohan, Orange Piccolo, and like the powered up Piccolo, and then like Gamma 1 and 2, and they've even got Android 21 over in their game. This isn't like brand new just now. I mean, she was DLC, but this isn't like just released or anything. Okay, anyway, you can see there's a very big difference in like the terms of support and content that they're getting compared to what we're getting. And I really don't know why that is. I understand that ArcSys has their plates full with all the different games that they're working on and all the stuff that they're developing and stuff, but I really just don't understand the disparity in content. I truly don't. And maybe somebody out there can help me understand it, because like maybe Dimps is just a way bigger studio. Maybe they just care more. Maybe they've got more resources to work with. But you gotta imagine, after all the wild success ArcSys has had since DBFZ's release, what with Dragon Ball FighterZ being a 10 million copy selling game, which shatters by far any record they ever had for a game, and then following it up with Guilty Gear Strive, which also is their most popular Guilty Gear game of all time, which I want to say is somewhere around like 1 million, 2 million copies or something at this point. And then like all the other little games that they made, which may not be that popular at the moment, but at least, you know, I would say succeeded and whatnot. Like it's just, I don't really understand why DBFZ gets the short end of the stick. And again, like I just feel like this comes off me as like whining and complaining and being ungrateful, but I just want to talk about it. So I'm just opening the floor for conversation with you guys, just because, yeah. And then moving on, actually, like I said, I haven't actually seen the trailer for their DLC in Xenoverse 2 yet, so we're gonna check it out. We're gonna check out
Peggy 12.
That's OD loud. They have a trailer. This is releasing, oh, today. It just came out today, May 11th. For them, but it's the Hero of Justice Pack 2 launch trailer, and like this might not even be it. We'll get to that conversation in just a little bit, but like the game has been out for 7 years and they're still going. But let's check out this trailer together, because I actually haven't seen it. I'm aware of the stuff that's in the game, obviously, but I don't keep up with it. Let's go ahead and watch this trailer together, because I hadn't actually checked it out. I just saw, you know, stuff on Twitter, but go ahead and watch this. We can live react to it together. Turn this down a little bit, that's kind of loud. Xenoverse 2 was a really fun game for me for a while, but that is a game that is not without its own flaws. That is worth noting. It's like, for all the support I say that it gets, it is a very imbalanced game, and it has its fair share of issues and problems that have not been resolved. just like DBFZ. But also, let me move my camera real quick so you guys can see the subtitles. My fault. We'll go up here real quick. And is Xenoverse 2 now the first game to actually have a playable version of Beast Gohan, like in an official Dragon Ball game? I actually am not certain. Other than like Dokkan or Legends, I'm sure he's in one of those games by now, but... Actually, no, isn't that a big controversy right now? Isn't Beast Gohan not in Dokkan yet? And I think he is in Legends, and that's like, people are like really mad about that. Regardless, the hair is so big and goofy. Damn. I'm not gonna lie, this doesn't move me a whole lot, as you can see. Just as somebody who just doesn't really care much for Xenoverse, but it's something, you know, it's something that they're getting that we're not. And that's another thing too, is that I recognize a lot of these animations and assets and stuff that's obviously being reused. And I wonder if that plays a big factor as to why there's such a big disparity in content between Xenoverse 2 and Dragon Ball FighterZ, is because it's a lot easier to do this stuff for Xenoverse than it is for DBFZ, and they can reuse a lot more. Granted, they reuse assets and moves and normals and stuff in DBFZ as well. Like obviously all the Vegetas, all the Gokus, they share normals. Like they gave characters like Vegito and Trunks extra supers that are just reused animations, but you know, I don't know. I don't really get it. Cutscene looks dope though, I ain't gonna hold you. Yeah, okay, so you get Superhero Gohan, Gamma 1 and 2, they came out right away, and all these characters just released today. The powered up Piccolo. Isn't he supposed to lose like the lines on his arms, or was that just like a mistake in the anime? I don't remember. Regardless, and then Orange Piccolo and then Beast Gohan, which I ain't gonna hold you, as somebody who doesn't really care for Xenoverse 2 anymore, like they didn't look super impressive to me. I'm sure a lot of people are having a lot of fun with them, and if you are, power to you. I'm happy for you. I'm glad that y'all are still getting content and stuff, because I can't say the same over here. I just don't really get it. I just really don't get it. That being said, there is an ongoing conversation when it comes to Xenoverse and Xenoverse 2 and just the franchise and the series. And hold on, let me just go ahead and pull this up real quick. There's a conversation always about Xenoverse 3. And if you want my honest opinion, and you know, some people always looked at me as a hater for saying this and blase, and we could have a whole conversation about this if you guys want. But in my opinion, if you ask me, there's never going to be a Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3. Why would there be? What would they even put in it? It's been 7 years. They're still making content for Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. What would they even do in a hypothetical Xenoverse 3? It's very clear to me that if there was ever going to be a sequel to this game, it would have happened already. Xenoverse 1, I believe, came out in 2015, maybe 2014, but it did not take 7 years for the sequel, right? That being said, anything is possible, and I understand people are going to use that as an argument because it's been how long now? We're about to get Tenkaichi 4 at some point, which, again, we still don't have an actual title. We're all calling it Tenkaichi 4. We don't actually know if it's going to be called that or not, but it is definitely going to be a Tenkaichi game, and they're very much advertising it as a sequel to the Tenkaichi series. But Dragon Ball Xenoverse released in 2015, and then a year later, about a year and a half, like it released in February 2015, Xenoverse 2 came out in October of 2016. So if there was going to be a Xenoverse 3, I just highly doubt it was going to take 7 or 8, 9, 10 years to do so. They're very clearly milking this game for all they've got. And that leads me to this other thing I want to bring up. Talk to you guys. You can see we have some Twitter users, we have a conversation about it. And then finally, Beast Gohan, Orange Piccolo, blah blah blah. I strongly believe that the game should end, and it's really time for something new. Hopefully they start working on a sequel or something. And then there's Yankee Gaming saying in 2019 they had Oob and Goku and the Z, and then they went, this is the end of Xenoverse 2, and here we are 4 years later, and they're still going with DLC content. I think the reality is Xenoverse 2 still spends them so much money, so it doesn't make sense for them to jump to Xenoverse 3 as much as I would love them to. And I think that's a sentiment that a lot of people can probably share, is that everyone would love a sequel for the game. If they made a sequel, I might even play it again. I might even try Xenoverse again, but I just don't see it happening. And that's not me trying to be negative or rain on anyone's parade. Like I said, I think that's just the reality of the situation. Xenoverse 2 makes them so much money. It's so easy to keep printing more money with that game. And this is like one of the very few games I see where there's an opportunity to literally print money and they're actually doing it, because they don't have to put nearly as much effort into this as, or rather, they're not putting nearly as much effort into this as they could, or you might even want them to. And people are still eating it up. Because like I said, there's so much stuff that they can just reuse and recolor and just like actually just reusing models and slapping on different hairs. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be so easy to capitalize on games like this, and even in DBFZ, like, bro, we would, and again, some of it has to do with Shueisha, you know what I'm saying, the parent company that actually has the rights to all this stuff, and you know, maybe that has a factor and something to do with why DBFZ gets the treatment that it does. I don't know how much of a hand or say Shueisha has in that, or why they would prefer Xenoverse 2 over DBFZ, and why we can't get things like alternate colors and skins and costumes and stages and stuff like that. Who knows, man? It's all a big mess between Bandai Namco, Arc System Works, and Shueisha. I don't know who to blame or who to point fingers at, but there's a reason for all this disparity, and there's a reason why one game is selling just as much as the other, but is getting nowhere near the same terms of content or support. I don't know. And I'm not even like begging for Orange Piccolo and Gohan, because like, I mean, as cool as that would be to have, like, that's not what I want the most. You know, I'm waiting on that balance patch, I'm waiting on rollback, I'm waiting on the more DLC cadence would be dope though. I'm here for that. And yo, honestly, we would like a sequel game too, but Dragon Ball FighterZ is unfortunately in that spot also where I feel like, hey bro, it's been 5 years. Even though fighting games like this are different obviously from an arena fighter like Xenoverse, I don't think we'll be getting a Dragon Ball FighterZ 2 ever, if I'm completely honest, but I would love to be wrong about that. Oh, Lord knows I would love to be wrong about that. So yeah, I don't know, man. There was one other thing I actually did want to talk about, but maybe I should save it for a whole other video, talking about the simplification of fighting games and, like, you know, making them easier so that people who don't have as much time to practice can still get good, and etc, etc. And my stance on that is basically like no amount of resources in the world or ease of the game is going to help you get good at the game if you're not putting in the time, work, and effort. But maybe that's a conversation for another day, because this video's already gone on longer than I expected or wanted it to. But yeah, man, let me know what you guys think. Like, how do you guys feel about Dragon Ball FighterZ getting 10 million sales and being just as big and popular as Xenoverse 2, but getting nowhere near the same type of content and support? And again, I want to reiterate this by saying Xenoverse 2 is a very far from perfect game. It has a ton of flaws of its own, and you know, it gets DLC, sure, but there's other things that should be worked on or fixed in that game that haven't been. So you take the bad with the good, and I would say they've been better the other way around in DBFZ, where when it comes to like bugs and glitches, and granted we still have some that need to be fixed, but when it comes to bugs and glitches and things being overpowered and whatnot, we have had better support in that aspect compared to the content aspect that Xenoverse gets. But yeah, man, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already, so you can stay tuned for all this content I'm bringing you. With all that being said, just finish off today. Remember, that can happen to you, swing the bat. Later.